Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back, or welcome to Indie Please Add Details, Episode 5, or Cinco, or Cinq, depending on what language you speak.
Cinq?
That's French.
Oh, okay.
Cinq.
I should know that. I know something.
My name's Keegan, and I have Love 2 Gamers, hanging out with Tom at the end of the table down there, the other half Love 2 Gamers. How you doing today, Tom?
I'm doing grand.
You're doing grand.
how are
You're
you?
Scottish. Grand Scottish.
Either way.
And the meat in the middle of us, the sandwich in the middle.
Why am I always meat?
Because you're a sack of meat. I don't know.
Just
Weezie, our animator's hanging out with us. He'll be with us also on the podcast on Friday, so you can hang out and check that out. How you doing today, Weezie?
I'm doing well.
You doing well? You have no idea what you're about to get into.
I've got no clue on this
I have
one.
notes in front if you want to cheat.
I mean, I do have an
Yeah.
idea because I
Yeah.
watched some, but you know.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, one thing I added this morning that you guys don't know about, and you can see it now. 'cause
I
it's
have
obviously
the
in there.
notes, so
Yeah,
I'm
so you know
excited.
about it. So, Indie Please Add Details. This is our weekly dip into the indie world and indie developers, where we discuss news and our indie excursions throughout the week. Topping it all off with a discussion topic that you can join in the comments down below, and or other places. You can listen to us on your favorite podcast service, which could be iTunes, Google Play. And if you want to, you can watch us on YouTube at love2gamers.com for additional video footage. If you want to continue the discussion offline or online, you can follow us on Twitter at Love2GamersSTL and or Discord. That is my spiel. And let's hop in. Detail number one.
I like it. You're getting better. You're getting better for sure.
Because I'm just making it. I read it and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do my own spiel here.
He's got it all
just
written
close.
out.
I do. If I read it word for word, though, we've learned this doesn't go well.
Yeah.
So let's get into detail number one.
What's detail number
Detail number one. I actually have like 1 and 1.5 because something happened this morning. I didn't want to make a detail number 2 because I don't know if it's a big enough deal. But detail number 1. Nintendo is working on an achievement trophy system for the Switch, says an indie developer, which is why I grabbed this because good old indie dev said it. From mygen.com. During a Reddit AMA, the team behind Lickspear, which
Yay.
you played, which has come to Switch, were asked about whether the game would support online rankings. And the reply, team member Tom, was that you, Tom? Did you reply? Indicated that we're hoping to add rankings along the way, also dropping an intriguing little nugget. Nintendo doesn't have official support for achievements and leaderboards like Sony and Microsoft, but we know they're working on it. When called out, Tom responded, "Oops," before adding that he thinks Nintendo hinted at it a few times.
Oops.
So I think you done fucked up there, but what do you guys think? Do you care if Nintendo, the Switch, gets an achievement system? You're not a trophy hunter.
No.
Are you a trophy hunter? Do you care?
No.
I feel like I'm... I don't.
Great news.
I think this is cool. So one of the complaints when the Switch did come out, though, was people who liked achievements, like trophies,
It was missing.
didn't have them.
It was
yeah.
missing.
And
from
it's
their
one of those
platform.
things, like, I'm not a trophy... I trophy hunt in games I'm close to platinuming on PlayStation, but I don't trophy hunt in the aspect of, like, I will go out of my way to get a trophy
Right.
unless I am close to platinuming the game. So I'm not going to go into a game that's like Friday the 13th. You have to kill, like, 666,000 people or something like that to get a trophy. I'm not going to do that because that's too much. But a game like Division, where I was 2 trophies away from the platinum, which is my only platinum I've ever gotten, I was going to go and kill a rogue or whatever it may be and get that trophy. So I'm excited because this was, again, at launch, this was one of the big things that people complained about. And if it is indeed coming, I'm excited about it. I'm super hyped.
I just don't get what they give you.
Well, Microsoft's about to change it. So rumor has it they're doing
We'll
a
just
reward
have your
system.
voice. Redo that. It freaked me out for a second.
Microsoft. I'm sick still. I'm getting over some nose stuff. So if I drip snot on Weezie,
Yeah, if you see me staring at it just in that direction, kind of in this area, it's because he's getting ready to drip.
Right there. Try again.
But no, at launch, the Switch didn't have it. I think people want it, and Microsoft is talked about changing the way we do it. So it sounds like a reward system's coming for them, which I think is better in my opinion because everybody likes getting stuff.
Yeah.
So I would love to see that where like you get rewarded for playing a game, whether like in Destiny.
Weezie has a thought.
Well, I did.
I can see it happen.
So I don't know if you guys ever known, but I've played World of Warcraft since.
I know, 'cause I played with you.
You
For like a day or
a day and a
two.
half.
I couldn't do
you
it.
and Sarah.
Yeah, I dropped off real quick.
But they have, they've got achievements.
I've been trying to get you to play Elder Scrolls. So if you play Elder Scrolls with me, I'll play World of Warcraft with you. I've already played a day and a half. You've done 0.
I've stopped my subscription. Wow, it got
Well,
it got too
Elder
cheesy.
Scrolls is free because I gave you the game.
I know. Yeah,
So,
you did. Thank you.
Anyways, your thought.
in there, you know, there wasn't a whole lot that they gave you inside the game, but you got titles. You got, you know, if you get a certain amount of achievements, you get something for your guild or something along those lines. You open up a new pet. Yeah. That to me, I think would be a lot more valuable than just having a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is about the trophies, like, it's not even like they make a special, like, little 3D animated version of that trophy that has some cool kind of imagery. It's like nothing. It's
it's bragging rights to your friends. Like, look what I did.
Who gives a shit? Like,
I do.
Can you see other trophies?
All right.
Like if
you can see other people's trophies.
Okay.
I can compare
how
trophies.
many they have.
How little I don't know about
So I can compare trophies. So if I go to you and say we both own GTA.
Yep.
And I go to my trophy list, and I was like, Keegan's done, which problem with GTA is I play GTA Online now at the story. So I've got 7% of the trophies. Weezy's got 8% of the trophies. Which fucking trophy does he have that I don't have, so I gotta beat him? I'm competitive.
It's literally just for Keegan, and people like Keegan.
And Greg Miller, who gets platinums. Dude, there's people in Kind of Funny that have like 78 platinums. I was like, why? I don't get that. I'm not a trophy whore to that point, but I like trophies to me, it's like you did something in the game that's really cool. Like for Overwatch. A lot of Overwatch's trophies are if you kill 3-4 people with an ultimate, you get a trophy for it. And that's like an accomplishment. So people see that you've done that. Right. I think that stuff is cool. And that's kind of how I see it is like,
but they don't.
Cool thing.
They're not really able to see it in game. Only if they go through and find your player and then search your trophy list. It's like such a fucking pain in the ass. You really have to be desperate to care enough. Or just be like me and looking.
I've literally gone to people's profiles and like, what trophies do they have and where am I falling behind? Because I'm a PS4 gamer. I'm not a PS3. So everybody who had PS3 is like way ahead of me.
Right.
Which kind of sucks. I hate.
But see, I think if like because Overwatch is Blizzard, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they can give you something. It's going to sound horrible to your folks out there. Sorry about that, guys. They could give you something like a skin or maybe a badge to put on your skin or
icon
like
or whatever it may be.
Something that doesn't give you any kind of a competitive advantage in the game, but is purely cosmetic and worth getting.
Yeah, and I think that's what Microsoft wants to do from everything they've been saying, and I would love that. Like Destiny. It'd be cool if you get a shader for doing trophies. Like you finished a raid, you get the shader as the drop of the reward, but you get a bonus shader because you finished the raid 3 times or whatever, maybe whatever the achievement is. And that's what they used to be called achievements.
And that would be an easier way to know if someone had that achievement because you'd physically see it in the game as opposed to having to go find their profile.
Yeah,
and check their trophies.
I think trophies are again, it's more bragging rights of like, look what I got. Like when we were in the division with me, David, and Ian playing together. We were so close that we compared trophies, and it's like David's like, "Which one do you have that I don't have?"
And how do I get it?
He didn't get it yet because he has to hit level 40 in Underground, and we've been doing that since last year, and he's not hit it yet because we stopped playing that game. 1.8 is coming out though. We're jumping back in between Destiny, The Division, and Elder Scrolls. I will have no life.
He used to only play Mario games. Did you know that?
Yeah, dude. Division was my first big boy game.
Yep.
Well, Halo was.
Sucked them in.
Yeah.
Can't get him back out anymore. Yeah. Elder Scrolls even.
Dude, Elder Scrolls was weird. That was one you played, and I was like, let me try it, and I didn't like it because I didn't have friends, and now I got friends, and I would have another friend that would play it. I even gave you the game for free.
Did.
Come on.
But
at least humor me.
But to summarize, no, like, yeah, I mean, I don't give a shit about this at all. I would much rather they finish fixing their fucking online system altogether. The friend code thing is ridiculous. I hate it. I think I've added like one person with a friend code because I just happened to remember that I had it in my notes on my phone when I was on the system. Otherwise, like, you know,
get the Nintendo app. Can't you add them through the Nintendo app?
I don't know.
We'll get the Nintendo app. Problem solved.
It's still stupid.
That's what I do.
Why would you have to have a code generated? Just fucking, you know, search the person's name or their tag, and you should. Yeah,
but a tag is the same thing as a code.
Not
have you
really.
seen some people's tags?
A tag is, well, yeah.
Have you seen some people's tags?
It's a lot easier still to actually, like, you know what your tag is because you made it. So with a friend code, like, I had to screenshot my friend code.
He's putting his phone in his pocket, guys. He's not.
I'm not playing with myself.
That's all right.
It was vibrating on the table.
But
his wife is updating us on the Apple Keynote as we record.
I have to take a picture of my friend code, so when anyone asks for it, I have to, like, go into my photographs, find the friend code, and then, like, it's annoying, man.
I mean, yes.
You could favorite it.
Fuck that. It's still annoying. My watch pictures come up as favorites. I don't want my friend code to go.
Look, I have a Switch.
Look at that.
Yeah. The other piece of news I think you're going to like, Tom.
I am going to like this.
Okami HD announced for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. No Switch here.
That is such a gorgeous game.
Following rumors and leaks, Capcom has announced Okami, I want to say Okami, but it's Okami, HD for PS4, Xbox One, and PC in the latest issue of Weekly Famitsu. It will launch for PlayStation 4, Xbox One on December 21st in Japan, and for PC on December 13th in Japan. Only on PS4. Only the PS4 version will be available physically. So I don't know if this is a US release, but this is coming out. So we have how to make a Japanese account. You can make a Japanese account, buy this game if you want to.
You wouldn't get very far.
Here are the prices for Japan. PS4 physical version, 2990 yen. Or 2,990 yen.
If it's HD, it's fine.
Digital version, 2,769 yen, which is interesting that it's cheaper for a digital version. The US doesn't do that.
It usually is. Remember, Friday the 13th did the same thing.
That's the only one that I've seen that does it. And then PS4 limited edition is 4,990 yen, and then Xbox One is 2,780, which is, I don't know why that's more expensive, and then 2,769 for PC version. Came out
so far, this is only confirmed for Japan.
It says Japan only. From this article from Gematsu. So I
does it specifically say Japan only, or does
it
just say Japan?
In Japan, it's going to be released on December 21st.
So that doesn't mean it's not going to be released in places.
It also is going to support 4K resolution.
Oh, dude, man, that's going to look so pretty.
Yeah, we played this with David.
It's one of the nicest looking games of all time anyway, because it's all done with brush strokes and it all looks just very unique. It's almost that ukiyo style that we interviewed that guy about at the whatever festival, indie pop. But
it'll support 4K resolution. You can also still play it in 4:3 if you want to.
I mean, I don't have a 4K TV, but if I did, I would totally play that in 4K. But it's it's interesting. I mean, as long as I guess if they're going to just do Eastern release only, as long as they do a Hong Kong version that has English language, we'll be fine. But I would think that there would be a demand for this to be released in the West. I don't see why they would keep that as...
what Polygon says.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think it would be Japanese only. It's such a cult classic of a game.
Yeah.
It's almost the same as when they released Beyond Good and Evil, or trying to release a Beyond Good and Evil remaster.
This saying the game will be released December 12th.
But it doesn't say Japan.
The game will be $20. It's US.
Cool.
Yeah.
So $20 for PS4 and Xbox One. Thank you, Polygon, for clarifying
my Christmas
that.
present is this year.
This will bring Jesse back into playing console games.
Yeah. Such a beautiful game.
This says it released it on PS3, but they're re-releasing it, I guess.
Yeah, they did. They did it for Wii actually, which was cool because you got to use the Wiimote as the brush, kind of like Epic Mickey. So like when you were drawing stuff, you would be doing stuff. But
here's your 4K screenshots.
Ooh.
They look.
That looks gorgeous, doesn't it?
So, that came out this morning. As of recording, I was like, Tom would love that news. So that's why I added that one in. I just thought it'd be fun to talk about because I know we played it and I know you're fond of it.
Yeah, I mean it has the longest fucking tutorial ever.
Yes,
once you
I don't think we got through that when we played.
We were still kind of doing it after like an hour.
Jesus.
But once you get through all the tutorial shit and actually get into the nuts and bolts of the game, it's a beautiful game. It's such a cleverly done RPG because you're a fucking dog or a fox or whatever. So the way that the movement is involved, the way that all the flowers like bloom around you as you're running, and like you're supposedly this kind of god of nature or whatever. It's really awesome, and it's great news. I think in 4K it would be stunning. So and the price is good.
$20 is good. That to me is perfect for a remake.
Yeah,
that being said, this got me thinking of what other indie games would we want as a remake? What's one game that's like not a AAA, not a big blockbuster game? What's like either a cool art style or something you're like I want to see that remade in HD? Now that Crash is done, I'm a Spyro guy. I want Spyro. I know Spyro's considered AAA.
I wouldn't consider it indie.
But
I mean, I would say it's a game that you've probably never heard of. It's like a hipster sound. But it's called Steambot Chronicles, and it was an RPG that came out on the PS2 where it was basically like sort of Final Fantasy style RPG, but the twist was that you had these, like you were in, I don't want to say it's a mech because it wasn't. It was sort of steampunk. So it was like this kind of, these robotic trousers kind of thing that you're in. And
trousers or pants?
Trousers.
Trousers or pants.
In case you didn't know, they are pants. But Steambot Chronicles, you had these kind of little like sort of bottom parts of a robot suit that you would be in, and the battle and everything. You would use your little mech stuff. You could change up the guns and stuff, and it was just so well done. And one of my favorite games ever. I've been looking for it to show up on like in VStock or something, so I could pick it up. But just kind of was there, disappeared, and I'd love to see it back. And
you have to come back.
Yeah.
What about you, Weezie? You Googling real quick?
I did. I could remember the it's the Wrath of the White
Is that No Nikuni?
Yes. Thank you. Wrath of the White Witch, which was done. I think it was done in conjunction or with Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I would like
a sequel
to
out already. I think. Or they're working on it. Or
yeah,
something.
I would love to see that one come back because one, that was one of Jesse's favorite games.
It's similar in nature to
Yeah.
Okami as well. So as far as like the 4K upscaling and everything, it would look equally as gorgeous, I would think. But it's one of those art styles that like doesn't really age because it's a cartoon. So it's it's always going to look good no matter what. So but it would be nice to like render the edges better and kind of have all the jaggies gone and all that kind of stuff.
I really want.
Jaggies.
Yeah.
I really want. The one I'd probably pick is. Did you guys ever play Clay Fighter? Was it 63.5 on N64?
Fucking Clay Fighter.
I would love Clay Fighter to come back. I remember. I have fond memories of that game. Me and Will, one of my best friends who lived down the street at the time, he owned the game, and this is back when you'd have to own every fucking game because it was local co-op and you just go to somebody's house. Crazy concept.
Local co-op.
And we go hang out. We played Goldeneye. We played that game, and it was so much fun. Like playing that game with him. He was way better than I was, but I didn't care. That would be a lot of fun.
I remember playing that game, distinctly hating it, but
It's not a good game.
Not to judge you at all.
It's more of just
a
the nostalgic feeling.
factor.
Like it's like Crash. Crash is a good game, but I feel like that's more of like if I want something remade, it's gonna be.
Oh, how about I'll throw in one more: Snowboard Kids.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah.
I played that.
Kids
Snowboard,
on
not
N64.
Snowboard Kids 2 though.
No,
By the way,
it's not.
Snowboard Kids 2 is way more expensive than Snowboard Kids if you're
weird,
gonna buy it
isn't
now. Yeah, I don't remember Snowboard Kids 2.
Snowboard Kids was
you
like
remember it?
it was a
No.
snowboarding game where you were kids, but it was
like Mario
lots of
Kart with-
tricks
it
and
was like
stuff.
Mario Kart with
Yeah,
snowboarding.
It worked a lot like Mario Kart, but just in a downhill race on
Yeah.
snowboards.
Okay.
It was awesome.
It was a really great game.
And it had laps because you go down and you get the ski lift, go back up, and you had 3 laps, and it was just like
that would be great
I loved
in
it.
HD remaster.
I remember getting that from Blockbuster. That's one of the few
Solid
games I
game.
rented from Blockbuster. The other one I would say, but it's not. I don't think it's Pandemic, so it's not an indie game. Would be Mercenaries. I want that series to come back. Playground of
They could just do a
Destruction.
new one. I
Yeah.
don't think they'd have to remaster it.
No, I
think,
just want a
'cause,
new Mercenaries
yeah.
game because that game. That was the first game where I grabbed a helicopter and could just shoot everything and it'd explode. And I was like, this is what video games can be. It's like what I do in GTA, except the buildings don't fall.
Yeah.
In that game, the buildings fall, and then you have different factions you're competing with.
I mean,
and-
Just Cause is similar to it, but
yeah, but it's not
many
multiplayer.
differences.
Well, I guess Mercenaries wasn't multi. The second one was. First one wasn't.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
good shouts.
So, with that being said, let's move on to our spotlights, which is where we choose an indie game and we spotlight them. I've got
As simple as you can make it.
that's it. Detail number 2, Keegan's game. I'm gonna go back to Yookalaylee.
Okay.
So I played this. Last time I talked about this was pre-launch, pre-update, pre-everything, and I had all right memories of it. Camera was a bit wonky. Thought I would enjoy the game. Didn't really get into the game. Went back to the day and decided to play it and just have fun with it and see what would happen. Because I had friends of mine, Amanda at work, is like, you need to try it again because they'd done the update. And I was like, cool, maybe they fixed the camera. Hate the game still. And it makes me really, really, really sad. So this is like a don't
I
buy.
was so not expecting that.
Yeah, this is a don't buy for me because I realized I kickstarted this game like a lot of people. Got the game early, played the game, thought I was going to enjoy it because I love Banjo-Kazooie. But I can't remember if it's just me forgetting how tedious those games are or how non-linear or whatever it may be. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like the things between the things I'm doing take so long, like traveling, and it's not fun.
Right.
And like, so this morning I hopped on for a little bit to play the Snow World to make sure, again, I wasn't crazy when I played it the other day, in between playing Destiny, of course. And I realized,
way cooler if they had guns and jetpacks.
well, no, I love the art style. I love that kind of thing. And as you know, I love my 3D platformers, but the camera's still fucked up as hell. Like, they did not fix the camera, even though the update said they did. And I can't figure out what's wrong with it. I think it's because it recenters on you, but it's also really high on you. And it's just like, you can't get it where you need to go to make jumps. And in a platformer, you need to be able to make jumps. That's just the way it works. You need to know where you're going and where you're going to land.
Do you think if you went back to a game like Banjo-Kazooie that you would feel the same about it because it's
No,
just
because
a
I
nostalgia
played
thing?
Rare Replay.
Oh, you
So
did play that?
to compare it, I
Okay.
played Rare Replay and Banjo-Kazooie. The difference, I think, is Banjo-Kazooie, it's janky, but it's supposed to feel janky because it's old.
Yeah.
With Yookalaylee, it's supposed to feel like Banjo-Kazooie, but tighter controls, and I still think that's the biggest issue. It sucks because I was so excited for this game, and I was like, yes, it's coming back. Ratchet and Clank was way better than this, so I don't know. Have you played it all, Yookalaylee? Have you seen it?
No, you
know
showed
what
it.
it
You
is?
showed
Yeah.
you showed it to me.
Yeah, it's awesome,
Yeah.
but not really.
It
It's
was
an awesome
supposed
art
to be a
style.
return to form for the guys that made the original stuff, and there was lots of like nods to.
Yeah, even
that
like the
stuff.
loading thing, like when you load in, it's Yookalaylee's head, and before is Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, I mean, literally like Banjo, Kazooie, Yookalaylee, like
Yeah.
they're all like it's such an obvious nod to.
Yeah, because
to
they
those
can't
games,
use they
but
can't use
just- they
because
didn't-
Rare doesn't own.
Right.
Or Rare
they just
owns
couldn't
them.
pull it off good. I mean,
Yeah.
I had been debating picking it up on sale because honestly, the time that we spent with it, I liked it. I was not that mad about the camera. I do think that a lack of direction would frustrate me because Banjo always felt like at least you knew where you were going
Yes.
next. But for Yookalaylee,
They
yeah,
did add.
it was very open.
One of the updates they did add, which I am happy, is they now have signs pointing you to where the worlds are in the overworld.
That's good.
So it's like, okay, I need to go to the snow world. Okay, turn left. Literally, it's like turn left here. Here's a turn right here. And that was frustrating before because travel time, like I said, is the biggest issue with it. When you get to like a puzzle or you get to thing like this morning, what I did is I played a minecart level, which everybody knows in the old games was the best. Everybody remembers Donkey Kong Country.
Would be my least favorite, but yes.
That minecart level. Everybody remember. I'd say that was my favorite. I love that level.
I did like that. in
I love
Donkey
that
Kong
level.
Country.
Also, if you jump over here's a spoiler for a game that's like what, 20 years old.
Spoilers.
When you jump before you jump into the cannon to get in the cart. Jump over the cannon and hit the wall, and then you'll head near the end of the level. So there you go. There's just a little
Avoid the
secret
whole
for you.
minecart situation.
Yeah. Well, half of it.
Yeah.
But no, I went to do the minecart level, and again, it's the controls. Like I pushed X to jump, so you're on a cart and you got to collect these gems and avoid the enemies like you would in any minecart level. But I'd push X and it would jump later than I would think. Like the time between when I pushed and when it jumped was off. And when you have to have timing, so one of the things, there's golden gems. You're supposed to collect 100 of them. I ended up only getting 86, and I gave up after like 7 tries because I was like, this is dumb. There's golden ones that then when the track ends, you fall down and you jump up to hit back on the track, but you have to time it before you have to time it. And I'm like, this is dumb. So again, I think the most frustrating part to me is things they could easily fix, and they have not fixed it yet. And I think
Do you think they will?
no, at this point, I don't have faith in
I mean,
it.
they made that patch to try and fix it, so if people are still giving them feedback and saying, hey, this is still fucked up,
I think it's to this point, it's beyond
save
the
it.
hype and all that kind of stuff, and it's like they. I don't say they don't care because
They've made their money.
Care, yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, well, we made our money. We did the patch that said fixed it, didn't fix it. It did make it a little bit better, but it's still. I wanted that game to be so good, and it was not. And I would tell anybody if it's on sale or anything, don't buy it unless it's like $5.
Gotcha.
Right now, I'd value it probably between 5 and 10 if I were to give it like a sale price. It's cutesy. The art's funny. The style's funny. The characters are funny. Like they also have now added where you can skip dialogue quicker, which was the most frustrating part.
Yeah.
I also like the noises when they talk and not words. Like I love that kind of stuff.
Sims language.
Yeah. I like that because that's a nod back to Banjo-Kazooie and back to Rare back in the day. But if you're a fan of those games, you'll like that. If you don't, I could see it being really annoying. So yeah, I'm really sad. And it's when I was coming up, like, what do I want to spotlight? I was playing Yookalaylee because I jumped back in and I was like, I don't like this game, and it's been sitting on my drive, and I honestly might delete it at this point because I've put now about 2.5 hours into it, and I'm like, it's not hooking me like anything else. Like Ratchet and Clank hooked me like crazy because it's a really good game. So if you want a 3D platformer, get Ratchet and Clank. That's what this is. Yeah,
And that's how you spotlight a game.
yeah. Well, spotlights.
It's shit.
Well, spotlights aren't always about being good. It's also telling you what
just
to
messing
avoid. So it's like,
Yeah.
again, like you said, you're looking to pick it up.
Wow.
You're looking to pick it up on a sale, and
Yeah. No, I get it. It's,
Don't do it.
Yeah.
it's not worth it. It's kind of like how I feel about what was that one game where I was like, don't fucking buy. Oh, Project Cars 2. That's another one you cannot buy.
I got a fun
Project
one for
Cars 2.
Okay.
They
code name. There's gonna be a good one.
yeah. So Project Cars said they're going to support VR. They're going to add all this stuff. They didn't do that, and then they announced a new game, and they kickstarted that new game after they kickstarted the first game, but didn't finish the first game. And I was just like, "Fuck you guys! I give you Mad Dog Studios, or whatever it is, or Madhouse Studios, whatever the name of the studio is. I gave them credit, and then I felt like they smacked me in the face. And I don't care if they come up to us like, "Hey, here's the game for free." I will never tell you to buy Project Cars 2. As good as it looks, as great as it played, it felt like a big slap in the face. It's like a big wet fish. Just
Just,
Yeah.
Aw.
What's your game, Tom?
I quite liked my game. So I played a game from the local area. It's one that we've been meaning to test for a while now. It's done by...
It's on sale right now.
Yeah, it is. It's done by a guy called Ben Cook, who's from St. Louis.
We met him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
at a panel. Yeah.
He made a game called Last Stitch Goodnight. And Last Stitch Goodnight is probably one of the more prominent releases to come out of St. Louis and actually make it to a console, fully fledged, aside from like League of Legends and all that shit. But although that still didn't make it to a console.
No.
But Last Stitch Goodnight is a good indie game.
Well, Smugglecraft did too.
Smugglecraft, yeah. And basically, it's a narrative tale. It's dialogue based. The combat is very kind of, I don't want to say it's like silly, but it doesn't feel hard at all. So essentially,
it was just him, by the way.
Huh?
It was just him.
Oh yeah, he
this
made
game.
the whole thing, which is incredible.
He did have when we talked to him, he did have audio was done by a team. That's what they do, but he made the game. Just so everybody knows, it's just him.
The audio, by the way, is the voices when they're doing it. So it's exactly like that.
Voice you play? Do you have a game you play?
No, I
That's
like that
me.
one.
Do you ever play banjo?
No.
I'm asking you like 7 questions. I'm on Red Bull
You
right
are.
now.
I'm trying to think about. I was just trying to go back to the first question. What was the first question?
Did you ever play a game that, other than like
Had the
Sims, that had the
voices.
like the not real
Toe Jam, you
words?
said that earlier. Toe
Yeah.
Jam had that, I think.
Yep, Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah.
Man, see, that's a game that needs to get. It really does.
There you go. That's the answer to that
HD
question.
remake.
HD remake right there. Told you, I've never played it, so I know nothing about
But
it.
You need to pick that up.
but yeah, so Last Stitch is basically, it starts off, and the weird part about it is the introduction really doesn't tell you anything. Like, it just jumps right into the game, and you hear this kind of staticky noise, and it's super fucking annoying. Like, the staticky noise that's coming out, you're just like, is the game broke? It's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like, and you're like, what is happening? And then you can't...
Is the disc grinding? But there's
Yeah,
no disc in there.
There's no character model, and you're just like, but when you press left, the screen moves. So you're like, okay, what the fuck am I? And then you kind of slowly realize that there's actually this little yellow ball of light in the middle of the screen that you are that. And because it's really hard to tell until you go in front of an object and you see, oh, I'm whatever
I'm
the
a ball
fuck
of
that
light.
thing is. Yeah. So then you go all the way through to this hospital bed, where there's this dude on the bed, and then I'm just like jumping up and down, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Wake up!
And,
Wake up! Wake up!
And because no holding hands, no this button, press this button, none of that. And eventually I figure out by literally just pressing all the buttons that I have one that is like and shock everything. So I'm like, that's what I'm using. Jumped on top of him, electrocuted him. And then there's this really creepy scene where the doctor's talking to you, and there's like these kind of flashing images of these kind of plague doctors behind him, with the crazy long nose masks and everything.
Yeah.
And then you wake up, and I'm assuming that you are dead. Is the kind of I like that's as much as I'll say about it. But I'm assuming that you died somehow during that process, or at least you're in some weird netherworld.
The doctors killed you.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I guess the ball of light did, but I don't know whether
You did it, Tom.
I killed myself.
You killed yourself.
So anyway, you then get into this kind of interesting narrative where you're obviously like, you have no fucking idea what's going on whatsoever. It is left to right screen based. There is the screens to extend, so it's not just like only what you see here. Like it'll like roll with you for a while, but then, there's a door
flip.
and you go to the next screen and whatever.
Is there a load between, or is it just instant? Just next screen?
tiny
Okay.
little bit.
You're not nothing. You're like, I'm waiting.
No. It's almost instantaneous. It's just a little bit. And you can also go back and forth in the near and far ground, or the Z space, as I learned one day from you.
He learned about Z space a couple weeks ago.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's a cool.
This is Z space.
So
This is
Z space.
yeah.
So,
X, Y,
yeah, there's some doors, and you can see, like, they do give you some hints, like, there'll be, like, footprints on the floor that lead towards that door, so you know you can go through it, but then it's a lot of kind of, like, trying to figure out the map, because it's these multi-layered maps that you have verticality to them, you have back and forth to them, you have left and right to them, there's lots of doors that are,
So is it a puzzle? Is it a puzzle-based game essentially? Would you
It's
call
hard
it a puzzler?
I would not call it a puzzler, no. I mean, there's small elements of it, but it's more exploration combined with some light combat. So there are guards that are trying to stop you, and you have a big pipe, right? And it's literally just like, boom, boom, they're down. They hardly make a scratch on you. But there's a lot of like, it's like some guards will have guns, so then you have to learn the pattern of what they're doing. So they'll shoot twice, then they'll shoot twice, then they'll shoot twice, then they'll reload. So it's a lot of like, okay, I duck for however long this guy's done, and then I whack him. And then like you have scientists throwing potions at you. You have to learn that you have to hit the potion to explode it before you hit the scientist, otherwise that'll get you. So there's a lot of trial and error with the enemies in terms of like what works best, because they all have very unique skill sets on how to fuck
life of it. Then, so if you get it's trial and error. How often do you die?
I died
and reset.
Not that much, but like enough to want to keep going, but not too many that I was like, this is fucking annoying.
It's not like game over. Anything happens after 5 deaths, you go back.
That I don't know. I never got that far, but you just resets you generally back to the last room that you were in, like last save point. But yeah, so you're kind of just wandering through this facility by yourself with no guidance, nothing. And I got pretty far. I got past, I assume, the first boss. You come across some sort of adventure elements, like you can get a screwdriver, and then you do have to use that screwdriver on certain panels to open them up and things like that. But it's not really a puzzle. It's just like, I need this to go here. But you don't have to find it. It's just there. It's somewhere on your path towards that thing anyway. So it's not like you have to make an effort to go and look for it. But one of the bosses was this giant robot that just came out of nowhere. The first time I go into that room, he just starts like beating the shit out of me, and I'm just like, I'm trying to hit him with a pipe, and it's not doing anything. So I'm like, all right, this is trial and error again. What the fuck can I do? I can't hit him. I can't hide from him. You know, I can't really do anything. So eventually I figure out that instead of trying to hit him with the pipe, every time he like goes for me and misses, I have to run up and use the screwdriver on him to try and unpanel some of his armor. And then like you do that like 4 times or whatever, and then suddenly for whatever reason it's his legs that are exposed, and then you can whack his legs with the pipe, and he starts getting electrocuted and stuff.
So you Nancy Kerrigan him.
Yeah. So you just kneecap him, and he gets fucked up. But it's kind of like that's an interesting thing to me, that like no one gave me that answer. There was nowhere that was like, have you tried screwdrivering the big robot's legs off? Like, it was just like, I figured it out from trial
like, what do I have?
Yeah, what else do I have on me that I could potentially use? So the puzzles are smart in the sense that they're pretty simple to figure out, but they just don't tell you anything.
Do you get frustrated at all trying to, like, where you're like, what the fuck do I do? Like, those moments of like, what do I do?
So far into the game, it has never been that bad. Okay. I could see it getting that bad at some point, because it is starting to ramp up in terms of enemies and like what they do and stuff. But I enjoyed it a lot. I really had fun with it. The talking is fucking annoying, whatever you do, but they do have speech bubbles, and it does play out almost like a weird comic book. Like, it's all like, you know, actual speech bubbles and what have you. I would say some of the parts of it with the misdirection or non-direction, I should say, can get frustrating. There's like hints that you should jump higher at some point to get somewhere, but I was just running back and forth from this bathroom, and I wasn't really able to like figure out what to do there. And then I eventually realized that I could jump up a high level, because part of the ceiling that looked like ceiling was not ceiling, it was a platform. And I was like, okay, that was buried a little bit in the background here. So that kind of stuff got a little weird. But then once you figure it out, you're like, okay, well, now I've learned that mechanic. I know that the next time I get stuck, I could look at the ceiling and see if there's anything that looks like I could jump on it. So it does a really delicate job of kind of introducing things to you. It does not hold your hand in the slightest. Story looks compelling-ish. Honestly, like, I wasn't too far into it, so I can't really say like whether it has any deep emotive feelings behind it. But
it's no Last Day of June.
It's no Last Day of June, but it is enjoyable, and the artwork is interesting. It's all kind of this like flimsy, like the Lost Bear kind of artwork, you know, like flimsy South Park sideways cardboard stuff. But really kind of cool. Right now the price is only on sale at $7.49
if you have PlayStation Plus.
If you have PlayStation Plus, that's down from what, 10?
Yep, yeah. 10 full price.
So it's not exactly asking a whole lot for this guy. And it is made.
It's got a 5-star rating out of 4 ratings on there.
Yeah, like I said, it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually a lot of fun, and the art style's cool. And you know, you got to give props to Ben Cook on this one, like making all of this and how gorgeous it kind of looks with all the weird elements that go into it, as far as the combat and the platforming and the puzzles. He did a great job, sterling job, and I would highly recommend it to anyone. So Last Ditch Goodnight, you can see it playing behind us right now, but that was the game that I played this week that I wanted to shout out, mostly because the dude's from St. Louis, but also because it's a good game.
Another shout out to the St. Louis game is Echoes of the Fae was released on Xbox this week.
Good for them.
Or last week. I can't remember if it was last week or this week. What's your game, Weezie? Just kidding.
Oh man. I was like, so don't ask.
You're like, what are you giving credit? I was like, don't worry about it. You just talk with us.
Yeah.
What do you think of that art style?
The art
I mean,
style-
obviously you don't know. I don't know much about the game. You knew as much as I did when I looked
Yeah,
at
I mean
it.
that art style is really legit. I like it.
The animation
Looks-
is done pretty well as well. Like it doesn't feel like too stilted or jilted. Like it's all pretty smooth and like stylistic, and it's definitely like it screams indie when you're playing it. Like you know you're playing an indie game. You're not tricked into thinking this might be like a AAA company working on a smaller title. Like it feels a little indie, but at the same time, that's one of those sort of things. That aesthetic that you really love about indie games.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was I wouldn't put it near like Oxenfree level. Like in terms of
Oxenfree is like one of the best games to come out in a while.
Oxenfree blew my fucking mind, but it's not that level, but it's definitely really solid for an indie title, and it's super cheap, so it's definitely worth giving that guy some money.
Cool. So, detail number 3. And the way this came about, because I feel like I have to tell the backstory of this, is I go around Kickstarter and kind of seeing what's coming up, who's getting funded. A lot of the times we have devs saying, hey, we're starting a Kickstarter here soon. Can you
It's
help
pretty
us out?
much like the go-to kind of place to get
Indiegogo,
game
Kickstarter, all
funded,
the like this. I just use Kickstarter, but any crowdfunding site. So my question is, does Kickstarter set false expectations for indie devs for games? And in parentheses, I said they can access bigger budgets to make their dream game. And my thought was, instead of learning how to make a base game and build from there, people can now make this awesome game with a big budget immediately.
Start big.
So, what are your guys' thoughts on that when it comes to, do you think Kickstarter is good, bad? What are your thoughts for Kickstarter when it comes to
I'll
indie
let
devs?
Weezie take it.
I think. I mean, Kickstarter is just that. It's you can get more money to try to push yourself farther. However, if you can't build something good small,
You can't scale it.
you can't scale it up to something bigger.
Yeah.
You gotta start little.
Have you ever backed a game
build up
or
on
anything on
top of that.
Kickstarter?
No,
No?
I haven't.
I have.
I have. I backed
Yeah.
Yookalaylee and a few other games.
I backed.
Oh, backed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
backed anything.
I'm sorry.
Not
Yeah, no.
done anything.
Yeah. God, what the hell was it? It was the one. And it's horrible. I can't remember this because it was a local company. You had basically grid paper. You filled in the grids. You had X's. You could do.
Tic-tac-toe?
No. But
Or is there O's involved?
Fun fact: tic-tac-toe embedded in St. Louis.
yeah. But essentially, you took a picture of it with your iPad. It became a game level, and then you could play through it like a side scroller.
So it's like how Mario used to be made on the paper. And then
So
you
using
scan it
augmented
in.
reality, or
No, that actually the software that they had on the iPad itself, and I know as soon as we get done with this, I'm gonna remember.
Yeah,
what the
welcome to
hell
my
it was.
life. What the fuck was that called? Oh yeah, that thing.
You scanned it, and it literally the software that would be on your iPad would know that if you had 2 X's here, then it needs to be a space that you have to jump over. Then you would have your multi-tiered level that you could build up, and then you could you would do a V underneath or above a filled-in block, just filled in by just making an outline on it. Sorry. And that would be a spike or an obstacle that you have to get into. So the software would just know that that's what it needs to do.
so you could kind of
Just like
create
Mario
your
Maker.
own
That's
level.
exactly what you're doing.
It's like Mario Maker, but in real life.
But I can't remember what the hell it was.
Yeah.
It's all right. Well, if you remember, text me. I'll put it in the
I will.
description.
I will.
Or he'll yell halfway through this, be like, "I got it," because that happens.
Yeah, I did a couple actually. I did 2 comic books. One called Golem and one called it's like Slugville Slashers or something like that. I have it over there somewhere. Remember.
Careful.
Sullivan's Sluggers. So is the other one. They're just really solid comic books, and they both delivered pretty good. I got my name in the credits and everything, which I was pretty pumped on. And then me and my wife actually did this thing called monkey bars, which are like supposedly these bars that you can hang from any door and like work out and stuff.
yeah,
We
yeah.
literally have not touched them since we got them. We paid so much for those fucking things. And I also have done one game that still hasn't come out yet, and this is going to be the test for me whether I think video games, because like comic books and stuff, like basically I know you can make that, and I know that all you need is distribution money and maybe like art,
Not creation
art
money.
stuff, because supplies, whatever. So I know you can make it and make it as good as it's going to be, right? You have the story, you probably have some of the artwork done. If it's a product like the monkey bars, for example, I'm way more skeptical, because I'm like, well, what if they have production problems? Because that took, like, literally from when we backed it to when we got it was like a year and a half or something. It was like a ridiculous amount of time. So by that time, we didn't really give a shit about it because, you know, it was the length of time from giving them all the money, having a successful Kickstarter, and then going into production and having problems and changing things and changing materials and like the normal shit that can happen when you're trying to make something. But with the current game that I'm backing is a game called Agony, which is supposed to be the most realistic depiction of hell in a video game ever. And it also has a VR element that they said they would add after reaching a certain stretch goal, which they reached. So we're expecting them to do a VR version of it as well. So I get early access to that when it comes out. I get the VR version. I get all that kind of shit. And it looked really interesting because I'm like, you know me, I'm kind of dark, so I enjoy like depictions of like horror and hell and things like that. And I watched the video, which was super awesome for it, and it looks incredible. It really does look amazing, and I'm kind of pumped on the idea of it coming to fruition. But at this point, I'm just like, man, it's been so long. Like I forget about it until I get an email from them saying, hey, we're still doing things, and I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know. So it's
You get the backer kid, like, hey.
Yeah, so like I don't want to say it's not a viable format, but I think that you do fall into that money pit situation where you have all this money and you might blow it on the wrong things because you probably have no idea what goes behind actually digitally or physically distributing
and or
the
making
thing it is,
or
manufacturing, like that type. You may have the idea. And that's great. You know, you can be an inventor. You can come up with an idea. But when it comes to all the business side of things, people learn. They only really learn when they already have the money to do it. So I feel like a lot of them get slapped in the face real fast when they realize just how hard it is to make some of these things come.
I have a perfect example. I was trying to make sure.
Oh yeah, that fucker.
The good old Ouya.
Yeah.
I didn't back this. The only one I've ever backed was Yookalaylee, and
How is that?
That was a console.
Wait for it. I'll tell you here in a second. If there's one project that embodies the high hopes and disappointments of Kickstarter, it could be the Ouya. Currently ranked as the 8th largest project funded on Kickstarter, the Ouya managed to raise more than $8.6 million in 2012. The brainchild of this Android-based device was Julie Ehrman, who pitched the system as an inexpensive gaming console that could play all your favorite mobile games on TV. Ouya was touted as an indie-friendly gaming console that would support free playable demos for every one of its games, which I love that, and I think people...
It is a good idea.
Yes. Hackers could modify the Ouya without fear of legal repercussions. If you wanted to turn the Ouya into an ultimate emulator system, my God, you could do it. Minecraft! The Ouya was going to have Minecraft! So then what happened to the Ouya? As it turns out, the system was a garbage fire. Backers who received the Ouya were shocked to discover how poorly made and cheap-looking the console was. The buttons on the controllers would stick, the D-pad was stiff and unresponsive. Unbelievably, the $50 controller would wear out following a week of use. A more refined model was created following the complaints, but were aimed at retail shoppers than those who backed the system. The games were pathetic. All horrible shovelware mobile games were loud and present on the Ouya's sluggish store. Good indie games did exist, such as Towerfall, The Amazing Frog, but they were overshadowed by the worst games available on Android. They also didn't play well on Ouya either. No matter the model of your current phone, it would likely have better performance than Ouya's outdated hardware. And with Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft developing strong relationships with indie game developers, there really was no reason to buy an Ouya for indie games.
Yeah.
So...
solid idea.
Yeah, great idea. And this is just a proof of, like you're talking about, where you have this great idea and you have these big dreams, but you don't have it done. And that's where I think, for me, specifically with indie games and Kickstarter, because the question was, do indie devs... Is it scary to get a Kickstarter for an indie dev? And I think there's two thoughts. There's two thoughts there. Yeah. Well, three thoughts. Thought number one is no. They know what they're doing. Give them like, for me with Yookalaylee, because those guys had a background in game design and game making, I had no issue doing it. Granted, as I said earlier in this podcast, don't like the game. I do not regret backing that game though, because I wanted it to happen. I wish the final product was better, but I knew what I was getting into when I bought it.
It is kind of like a pre-order in that
sense. Yes. Yeah. To me, that wasn't a big disappointment. With this, when it's not something you expect it to be and it breaks and all that, then I have an issue. The second train of thought is Kickstarter is good. You get the money, and the person knows how to make a game. Like that's a prime example. The last train of thought is no, because you have this extra money, like you're saying, spending it wrong, and you don't know what you're doing. So I think a lot of the times, and I don't want to...
Did you just have two reasons for no and two reasons for
yes?
yes?
Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. That's great.
But anyways,
that's
I'm on Red Bull.
Talented. I like it.
But So for the no though, like if you go in and you have all this money and you've never made a game before and it's your first game and stretch goals, like the Kickstarters I think that do well and actually succeed are the ones that come close to their goal. I think anytime you hit these stretch goals that go above and beyond, your expectations go bigger and bigger, and then developers feel pressure to go bigger and bigger and do more things, even though they may not know how to do it.
I think there's a lot of bad choice with the stretch goals as well. Like a company like this is the thing about Agony as well. Like I said, the only reason I backed it was because the VR stretch goal. And when
they may not know how to make a VR.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, I know you know how to make this game, but do you really know how to make a VR game? Because that's a whole other kettle of fish. So that has me nervous. But at the same time, like, you know, I want to give them the chance to try. I feel like they deserve that. And that's why, like, I feel like if I do put my money behind something like you, whatever the product comes out to be, I'm kind of happy that at least the initial pitch is the beautiful part. Like, that's the part where,
and
like,
to me,
if they pitch it good, I don't feel bad about it.
And to me, there has to be something there to pitch.
Yeah.
So if specifically for a game, if you come and say, hey, like, let's say, I'm going to use Cosmos Quick Stop as a prime example. If they came and said, hey, we're doing a Kickstarter, which I think they did, I can't remember.
They did for publishing and everything.
They did. If they did a quick Kickstarter and said, hey, we need the money to publish, but we have the game made, here's what it is, I'm all cool for that.
Yeah,
but if you're like, hey, here's my idea, I need to make a game, that's when I go, hold up. Like you
have an idea, you don't know
what to do. What's your plan to make it happen? Have you done this before? Like, if I was,
it's kind of like that Dragon's Den or what's it called here, Shark Tank. You know what I mean? Where we are essentially the judges to that extent that we have to be able to listen to that pitch and then react accordingly. So we do have that option at least to look at what they're saying, like either we have this made or we are thinking about making this and make that decision from there. So it's not like that's not made obvious at the beginning in terms of, you know, what it is.
But it's one of those things where it's just like I really hope that to me it's good that Kickstarter, Indiegogo, all these things, GoFundMe exists to make these products happen because there's people that can't make it happen without that. But I think for me, if you're kind of like Weezie said at the beginning, if you can't make a game at this scale, don't try and make one at this scale until you do this scale, so you can understand its learning process. And it's
like
true with
too
anything,
greedy almost, isn't it? Like it's kind of like you're.
But then the other concern is if you have say your goal is $30,000 to make an indie game, you get $400,000. Then it looks like you just pocketed the rest. Right. So it's like, well, what do we do there? And it's like, what I would do in that instance, if I was an indie dev and say my goal was $30,000 and I got $400,000, I would do two things. One, obviously marketing of my game would be where a lot of that money would go outside of game development. Two would be getting consultants that have done stuff before with games, and that's going to be expensive. The third one would be setting myself up to make another game.
Or DLC or something along those lines.
Something to continue it down the road, saying, hey, I'm going to support this thing I've got going on. Or if the other thing you should do is if something goes wrong, have money in the bank to fix the problem.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's the big thing. So
well, that's what Friday the 13th did. Was Friday the 13th is officially now the most bought like Kickstarter or whatever making a video game based on a movie ever. And the nice thing about those developers is they knew it was going to be hard as shit, but they used that money to bring in people like Tom Savini and bring people in
Adam Sessler
that actually know what the fuck they're doing or like worked on the original Friday movies and it would obviously require payment. And then they had DLC ready, so they're like, okay, we can use some of this to make some DLC.
And they also, I mean,
still doing single player.
They also fixed when it was broken. Yeah, that's exactly. The other thing is like
the servers alone. Yeah, I mean, think about that for a money.
That's a thing you wouldn't like to them. I mean, you can't anticipate how big your game's going to be. There's no real way to actually judge how many people are going to buy games, especially on day one. Like Destiny had server issues day one, but even Destiny is huge. Yeah, it's because you have the initial surge of everybody at that time getting on, and then as it goes along, you're fine. But like for a company like that, I believe that was their first game, and I'm pretty sure it's the first game. It's the first online game. No infrastructure. Same thing with Rocket League. Rocket League wasn't a Kickstarter, but it's the same concept of like they didn't expect Rocket League to explode like it did. It sold, I think, like 2 million units now. Something crazy. Like it was on NBC the other day. They had a fucking like the NBC, like National Broadcast Corporation, like on television.
Is there a different one?
Yeah, NBCSN is National Broadcast Corporation Sports Network. Teleportation.
Don't ask him questions. He knows the answers.
But no, I like, to me, that's one of those things where they also listen to the community. Like, we understand it's broken. We're gonna fix it. And the same thing with Division. Granted, again, Division wasn't a thing, but this is also
high scale.
It's more of we're gonna push back all these plans we had to fix the base thing to make sure you like what we have before we go forward. And with Kickstarter, I want Kickstarter to exist because people can make cool shit out of Kickstarter that wouldn't exist otherwise. And I think it should be a thing. I also want people to be aware and game developers to be aware, if you're going to do a Kickstarter and you happen to get 10 times your goal, 4 times your goal, whatever it may be, don't go outside your dream. Don't go outside what you promised to make, because that's when you start getting into gray area of having issues.
Don't promise people the moon if you can't deliver.
What is it? Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that.
What it is.
Do that. Under promise. Yeah, because you don't over promise, under deliver, because that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the
That's
thing
what we
about it
do.
as well, though,
I'm a horrible at saying
this
that.
isn't even exclusive to Kickstarter. I mean, you talk about the Division, like that's something where that's fucking, Ubi or whatever that are putting that together, and they have the money and the know-how and the knowledge and the marketing and the production.
And there's so many, a lot of it's just because there's so much that goes
still
into a
hit that.
game.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many systems that have to work.
So yeah,
just
I mean,
right.
it's a good sort of point to make regardless of Kickstarter, but Kickstarter just makes it that little bit more dodgy because like it's an unknown quantity that you're dealing with for the most part.
And usually somebody's first.
Yeah,
Or
like their
some-
first, or even if there's
Or
a
it's
second or third,
or it's
still
a
like,
fan made. Like, that's the other thing too. Is like, I've seen a lot more, like, we talked about bringing series back. Well, I've seen a lot more on Kickstarter of bringing, like, Night Trap was supposed to come back. There was a Kickstarter to bring Night Trap back. It wasn't successful, which is why it didn't come.
but it did show up.
But it ended up showing up because there was clearly a demand for it.
Well, Sonic Mania was a fan-made game until Sega came and said, "Hey, if we throw money at you, can we release this as a Sonic game?" And they said, "Yeah."
Yeah. So it's one of those things where, like, I don't want to be like, don't do Kickstarter, because Kickstarter is great, but understand your limitations, especially if it's your first game or first few games. And that's why I really love, like, Happy Badger is a prime example. I've talked to them a few times because this is their first console game with Smugglecraft, and they're like, these things we didn't think were going to be a thing we have to worry about, like, especially now with online. They're like, we have to have servers ready, we have to be able to connect you somehow, and if it goes down, how do we fix it? There's 10 of us, if that. I don't know how many are actually officially there now, but it's just like, it's crazy, these things they got to think about. But it's like anything else. Don't go beyond what you can do, or if you do go beyond what you can do, ask for help from somebody who knows. Get a mentor, whatever it may be. So that's my thoughts on it. What's your guys' thoughts on it? I'd love to know what you guys think of. Do you think indie devs kind of fall into a pit with Kickstarter? Do you think Kickstarter's good, bad? Love to know your thoughts on it. This was Indie Please Add Details, your weekly dip into the news of indie and our excursions in indie games.
Real quick.
What?
I told him to close your screen real quick to see if you could do it. It's okay.
Now you screwed it up. This was Indie Please Add Details, our weekly dip into the indie news and indie developers and the excursion that we have going on throughout the week. If you'd like to...
follow us on social media.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to continue the discussion, you can answer the question down below in the comments, or follow us on social media if you want to talk to us online/offline, because it's after the show, but it's still online. Follow us on Twitter at Level2GamersSTL, or Discord, link down below. Our Discord, can we get a shout out to there? It's been a little bit more active recently because of Tigrado and good old
it's crazy.
Colin.
Yeah,
Nuts and Dolts. And Holly's in there, and a few other people. I saw Last Good Milk Pig.
And then I like forgot about it for like half.
And you came back, and
I went back, and it was like, holy shit! Like my high is like miles away right now. You should be
you should pay
3
attention,
days
Tom.
later, the last thing said would still be high.
Just turn notifications on.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So, but yeah, join us there if you guys want to talk to us offline. I try to pop in at least once a day. Time obviously will vary based on what I'm doing. I noticed you popped in the other day too, so I was like, I was almost like, hi Tom, but I was playing Destiny, so I was like, fuck this, I'm playing Destiny. But it's really cool. We actually get games together, so if you want to play, like the other day we had Colin from Nuts and Dolts, James, we went in there like, do you guys want to play Destiny? And I was like, yeah, let's go play. So we got together and played Destiny. We played Rocket League, we played Overwatch. Like,
it's a good place for
to
people
play with
that are
us.
interested in playing with us on live
Especially
streams.
even when we're not streaming, I'll play with anybody really, as long as you're not an asshole.
Unless it's not PewDiePie.
Keegan's a little slutty like that.
He is.
I mean, yes. I just like making friends.
He just likes playing.
That's my friends list has literally gone from, like, normally I have online, like a few months ago I'd have online maybe like 15 people. It's not like 45 people online at all times. The friends list is growing.
They all want to play with you.
Dude, I have to. If any of you have added me on Level 2 Gamers PSN account, and you've sent me a message and I've ignored you, it's not because I'm trying to ignore you. It's because I get a lot of messages of people wanting to play with me, and I have notifications turned off.
Yeah, you do.
And I ignore them because I turn well, when we're streaming, I don't want them constantly to go ding 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 ding. So I turn notifications off. The only one I have on is if you join a party with me, so I can see like when somebody shows up. So it's not me being an asshole, but there's times where I do want to play with you and times I don't want to play with you. So if I'm on there, that is the case. I mean, it's true. It's the truth.
All right.
So, but if you do want to join us on a live stream, go to Discord. I will gladly play with you then. Or if you're playing, or if we're playing a game, if you want to join us, ask, and I'm sure like Overwatch, we're cool with that.
Ye shall potentially receive.
Yes, it depends. It depends on what I have going on. Like if I'm doing like a raid or I have something, sometimes I'll have things planned, so I'll play something with somebody. If I'm doing that, then the answer is no. But if it's like, hey, I'm just kind of playing, you guys want to join? Cool, let's do this.
Cool.
So. Again, that was Please that details, number 5. This guy.
Yeah, he joined us today knowing nothing about what we're doing and still probably knowing nothing about what we're doing after a whole
Do you like how my
section.
my spiel is bold and everything else is small?
So I can read it.
I need to make sure I can read this.
That's what it was when we first did it. I copy and pasted every week.
Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us, man, and for dipping into the world of the indie and all the details that we have to add to it. So
next time I'll contribute a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, you were supposed to contribute during the last week with the last day of June. Do you have any thoughts on that? Before we wrap up, I want to get your thoughts on last day of June because you were in the live stream when I did it.
Yeah.
And were you as mine again? We're gonna go full spoilers here. So warning: last day of June. If you have not played, full spoilers. What did you think? Are you gonna play it? Are you gonna play the game?
Probably at some point.
Okay, so cover yours.
Cover yours. So what?
I'm not. Well, I won't give out too much, but I mean,
what do you think about the end?
Well, I've never seen a game.
My eye. Okay, go.
I've never seen a game that had so much emotion just bubbled up in it
and built up.
Because once you start realizing what's going on with him, it becomes a roller coaster.
Yes.
I mean, an absolute emotional roller coaster.
There's a video I sent you, and my favorite part is when it happened. You see the chat just going, "Holy shit! Holy shit! Like what's going on?" And it's like, okay, I'm not the only one.
As soon as when
the ground started cracking, like that was like the moment where it was like, I mean, there's other things before that, but that like was like, what is like that literally was the first. Like,
and the game was and like the timing throughout the entire game was just so brilliantly done, because it was nothing happened just like all at once, and. You know, you would get these small little bits that would break in, and we were just like, holy shit, what just happened?
And then when you get back to the house at the end, so the one that got me, and again, full spoilers, at the end with the house when the picture of the old man went black, like when you finally solved that one, I was like, oh, we just took a turn. Like, because my thought was like, oh, we saved her, like, there's going to be something, like, my thought was, she was going to be alive at the end, we were going to be dead. And that was my gut feeling. And she was going to be the paralyzed one, and we were going to end up in her shoes, is what I thought was going to happen, which is technically what ended up happening. I did not see the pregnancy twist. That's the one that got me the most, was like, holy shit, that's why we did it. Because the why, like, we're trying to save her, and that enough was a why for me to save her.
Yeah.
But with that twist at the end, it's just like, and then I still don't understand what the cracks were. Like, I don't understand why the ground cracked as the old man, whether it's just like, trying to prevent you from doing what you were doing or what. But I would love if you guys played it and or watched me stream it, if you guys have any solution to what that was. I still am confused to what that was. Just spoiled it for you, Tom. Those are the two biggest plot twists there.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm sure I'll pick it up at some point.
So, but it was that.
I mean, I saw you play most of the game.
Yeah,
I came about halfway through.
You didn't miss much. The beginning was basically setting up the car crash, and then you're solving it because you saw the beginning like over and over again where I kept crashing.
So, but even seeing it from start to finish, I'm going to go back and play it again.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So, I mean, it was just a gorgeous game.
Yeah, the art style.
Yeah.
What was really interesting to me is when I played it, because you didn't see this probably at the beginning, but at the beginning when you have to go get her sweater off the dock, you go up to the car, and the car's facing you this way, as you saw. So I go open my door to get the sweater, and I go to reach, and I can't reach, so I go to the other side. So it lets you know that you can go into the other side of the car. So at the end of the game, when I went to the other side, I was like, fuck. Like, she's driving, and I was like, we're not going to let her. And then when you tell her, you're supposed to tell her, because you know what's happening. And that literally was like, fucking tell her. Like, I got so angry at that, and it's just like, I don't know.
Because it gave you the control.
Yeah,
tell her.
And he would be like, I've never been that invested in a story of a game and yelling at a screen in a long. Granted,
No.
I'm streaming, so I'm a little bit more animated, but I still was like, that was pure shock with that. So I just want to get your thought, because you're supposed to be last week to say that, but I'd love to get your thoughts on that one because of.
Yeah,
It was a good game. Go pick up Last Day of June.
It was a beautiful
If
game.
you're still here and even though it was spoiled, go get Last Day of June.
Yeah. Do it.
That was awesome. So
Cool.
that being
Great
said,
game.
let's call it. That was episode 5 in Indie Please Add Details. You can catch us each and every week. I was gonna say you can see us and catch us each and every you can catch us each and every week on Wednesday.
Yep.
I coughed. You can catch us each and every week on Wednesday, and then Thursday we have the Codename Morpheus, and Friday is our level 2 PSVR. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always,
Welcome to the
welcome to the second level. Bye.